a prospective staffer for congressional Republican freshman George Santos is now alleging that the congressman sexually harassed him. The man, Derek Myers, claimed that he had been put to work in Santos's office in a volunteer capacity, which he alleges is a violation of the congressional ethics rules. Now, he also outlined an instance of sexual harassment in a letter that he posted on Twitter. Myers alleged that on January 25th, Santos asked him if he had a profile on Grindr, which is a popular dating site or dating app, I should say, for members of the LGBTQ plus community, before revealing that he himself had a profile. Now, I think Santos is married, but I don't really know what to believe with Santos, so.
No, I have no idea if he's married.
Yeah.
I don't believe a word he says. So in this case, Derek Myers taped their main interaction. So, well, we know that's true because it's on tape. Everything else was Santos. Who knows? Who knows if he's, I mean, at least now we know he actually is part of the LGBTQ community, which I didn't even initially necessarily believe. Right. So at least there's one thing that's true about his life.
So later that day, Myers wrote that he was alone with Santos in his office reviewing mail from constituents when the congressman, quote, insisted I sit next to him on a small sofa. And then Myers alleged that Santos put his hand on his leg and invited him out for karaoke, which Myers said he declined. He wrote that Santos then moved his hand into my inner thigh and proceeded to touch my groin while telling Myers that his husband was out of town. Okay. Now, I don't know. This is my take. There are no good guys in this story. Okay, so he's making an allegation. Santos, like anyone else, deserves to be investigated and the allegation should be proven before we jump to conclusions. I say that because there's something about these allegations that don't really add up. So Myers really wanted to work for Santos. He was salty about the fact that Santos hired him as a volunteer for the time span of about a week. So it was unpaid. And then he never ended up getting hired because apparently Santos and his chief of staff called him in to ask about something that happened when Myers was a reporter in Ohio. So he is facing wiretapping allegations because of a recording that he published from within a courtroom where there was a court order indicating that nothing was to be recorded, okay? So Santos and his chief of staff asked him about that, and later he ended up getting fired, or he was never hired as a staffer that would get paid. So on January, let's go to graphic 4 here. On January 30th, Myers wrote that he was called into Santos's office and questioned about his background as a journalist and other matters that he had already disclosed to hiring managers prior to receiving a job offer. Myers had been charged with wiretapping in Ohio last year after publishing recorded court testimony. The Committee to Protect Journalists has called for all charges to be dropped. So I know you interviewed Myers previously, Cenk, about that incident, but what Myers also did is he also secretly recorded a conversation that he had with Santos and his chief of staff.
Yeah, so look, I know Derek Myers a tiny bit through interactions throughout the years. He actually, and he's an interesting character. So he first came across our radar when he actually did a great job of asking about David Vitter's corruption to David Vitter, a senator from Louisiana, and he got fired for that. And that was outrageous that he got fired for that. It was actually a really good piece of reporting. The case in Ohio where he's charged with wiretapping is totally outrageous. He should not have been charged with that at all. And you can tell from the reputable organizations that are involved that he's right and they are wrong. And you could listen to my conversation with him on the Conversation podcast where I talked to him just a little while back, not that long ago about it. And it's not clear that he recorded that at all. He says he did not record what the courtroom in Ohio, he got it from someone else. The veracity of that I don't know, but it is not at all clear that he recorded it. Okay, just to be clear on that. And so in the case of Santos, apparently, and this seems to be agreed to by all parties, they were going to make him an offer. In fact, they had kind of made him an offer. And then they withdrew the offer when they found out about the wiretapping charges because they were worried about his character, which is hilarious and ironic coming from George Santos,
right,
who has of course done nothing but lies. So this all seems like Derek Myers is rightly the aggrieved party here, but it is strange that he would want to work for Santos in the first place.
Badly. He really wants to work.
Yeah.
So here's what turned me off to Myers. I'm gonna keep it real. Through researching this story, I came across a story by TPM. TPM obtained the audio recording that Myers recorded of his conversation with George Santos and his chief of staff, okay? And what he said to TPM was, don't publish this until I try to get my job back again. And if I don't get it, then you can publish it. What happened to the sexual harassment allegation in that context? Where did the sexual harassment allegation come from, right? Because if he grabbed your groin or touched your groin, wouldn't that make you not want to work for this guy?
Yeah, no, I know, and it's a dangerous, touchy area to discuss. I mean, but because it's possible that he, decided that that was out of bounds, and he had a different plan. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. So you can't blanket say that he didn't, that he wasn't going to take action on it otherwise, right? But it is awfully strange that he wanted to work with Santos when previously he had shown nothing but progressive positions. So that's already a giant head scratcher. Then when you add in, hey, I'm gonna tape him without him knowing it, that's a violation of trust. Then you say, well, okay, but the guy sexually harassed, Santos, it appears sexually harassed Myers, so okay, then tape him and etc. But at that point, he's still trying to get the job.
Yes, let me read you, let's go to graphic 6 here. I'm gonna read you the excerpt from TPM, Talking Points memo. Myers provided TPM with an audio file that he claims is a recording of his conversation with Santos on January 30th. Myers requested not to publish the audio until he had one last chance to go in and ask for his job back the following day.
Yeah, and look, there's another quote from the Talking Points memo interview with Myers that I found to be curious, and in fact, he said it a couple of times. But the essence of it was that he was so enthralled with being in the middle of the action, and then all of these famous congressmen and senators were coming by, and he was amongst these stars. That's not the proper reaction.
No.
Okay, so first of all, you're not supposed to go there to be starstruck. Second of all, you're supposed to be doing the people's work. And he mentions how he wanted to do the people's work and get people their payments and run after passports and stuff. It's a relatively low-level position he was going for. But at the same time, hey, I'm gonna work for the biggest liar in Congress, and that's a tough one, tough championship belt to get.
Yep.
Right? And a Republican when you didn't seem to be a Republican before, and you're dying to get that job because you want to be around political stars. That's not a great fact pattern, okay? So by the way, none of that means that Santos didn't touch him, right? Santos might have touched him and proposed and made that proposition to him that is wholly inappropriate and should get you kicked out of Congress. Just ask Katie Hill, right? So that alone could get him kicked out of Congress. It's possible that both things are true, but we're giving you the whole story here because our job's to be unbiased.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.